All right. Okay. Anytime that you can get 4 generations in one room, it's a time to celebrate, and it's an amazing thing. You know, we have these 4 generations here, and I'm excited to be able to be at my father's 90th birthday, and I think we'll all be here for the 100th again. We were for my grandfather, and I'm counting on it. Everybody's life has a backdrop to it, and my father's backdrop, the theme of his life, has been activism. And over the years, the activism has taken different turns. Always, though, he has remained true to his beliefs, and the core belief that I think of even though he's gone off in a different direction, is pacifism. And I grew up knowing that my father was so committed to pacifism that he chose to go to jail rather than to fight a war that he did not feel was, well, not that he would think any war was just. Okay, let's go, but to fight in a war. The theme of activism colored my whole childhood and that of my sister. We marched side by side with my father in anti-war rallies through the years. I remember one memorable march when we were behind Benjamin Spock, you remember, and that was also the first time I ever experienced seeing policemen on mounted horses breaking up the crowd. So it was particularly memorable to me, and my father took us out of the way, by the way. Although I think my mother was worried about that, as I recall. So we went to Washington and marched with Martin Luther King, and then much later, in 1982, I think it was, when I was living in Houston and my dad was living in Sarasota, we met in New York for an anti-nuclear rally. And that was very special. Jonah was there. Jonah isn't here today. I'm the only one of the grandchildren who isn't, but he was at that rally. My dad's activism took us to places and introduced us to people we would not have otherwise been had in our lives. One person that stands out is Cyrus Eaton, who was, some of you, I'm sure most of you don't know who he is, but he was a famous critic of the U.S. foreign and military policy during the Cold War, and he hosted us at his very impressive farm in Cleveland. And that was a high point. It wasn't just once; it was a number of times we went there for events. We were probably also the only family in North Olmsted, Ohio, who went to every single Pete Seeger concert. No matter, if it was anywhere in the neighborhood, we were there. We also went with Dad to see Peter, Paul, and Mary, and Arlo Guthrie, and of course Joan Baez. And those remained high points in my life. And when you're doing things with your children, you don't know what things are going to stick and what things aren't, and that's something that really, really has resonated for me. Our family was also involved in a program called Friendly Town, where children from the inner city would come in and to suburban homes and get to experience what it was like. And I'm not sure what Connie, our foster sister, learned from the experience, but Barb and I learned a lot from it. We learned about the racism of our neighbors, for one thing, but it was, again, this was a core experience for us. On our living room wall, there were black and white framed pictures of Albert Einstein, Albert Schweitzer, and Martin Luther King. And we also had an oil painting of Bertrand Russell on another wall. And sometimes I think about this and think it's a small wonder that I became a philosophy major. You know, I mean, I was surrounded by philosophers. But this world of ideas is what I owe to my father, and he taught me by example how important it is to think about issues and to take a stand and to act. My sister and I were privileged to grow up with the sense that ideas and principles take precedence over other things, over material things, over just about everything. It's common for Jews to wish another Jew until 120 when they have a birthday, until 120. And Judaism urges us not to tire of life, and the idea is to look forward with each additional year with anticipation and excitement and determination to make the most of every opportunity. And so it's in that vein, Dad, that I say to you, to 120.
Yay!
Okay.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Dad, I have cards for you that they asked us to read them and ask Tommy Laughlin to read it for you.
Okay.